Good afternoon and welcome to Funny Like a Clown podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Wirth. This is episode 4 we're bringing you today. And hey, we're here to amuse you. We're here to make you laugh. It's a comedy thing. And on the phone, I have veteran radio voice Mike Wagner calling in from North Dakota. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, I'm doing great, Dennis. How are things in Beantown?
They're cold up here in Beantown, very cold, but you're probably used to that in North Dakota.
Well, it's a very common word up in Bismarck, I'll tell you that right now. 32 degrees. For people, it's very, very cold. For us, it's like tropical weather. We have an inch of snow. Everybody thinks it's a blizzard. For us, it's like a little coating, dusting. But
Little dusting, right?
It's a regular shirt, regular jeans, and of course, some people go out in shorts, just regular shoes, a regular jacket, and to them, the weather is nothing. I'm used to it. Everybody's all used to it. And even when it's like 20 below, people still function like normal, just wear the same stuff. So we're used to cold in North Dakota, and that's how we thrive.
Same as in Mass. Nothing shuts us down, you know. We had all the Thanksgiving football games. It was so cold on Thanksgiving, they had to play them the day before because they didn't want the kids out playing in that cold of a weather. So, I mean...
Oh my gosh, I'll tell you something. When it comes to football weather, it's like many years ago, we were encouraged to go outside and play football in any type of weather. That's how they're built up. Now their version of going and playing football is playing video games or getting on a computer, just
what's on the web, right?
Just doing some simulations or something.
It's a different day and age than we grew up in, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, so it's just like, nowadays they were playing football in the dome than being outside, where it's like, we're originally from the Wisconsin area, and now I was up in Green Bay a few times. They play in almost like 0 degrees weather in just regular gear playing football.
So who's your big teams you root for out there in North Dakota?
What's that?
Who's the big teams you root for out there in North Dakota? Who are your teams?
Well, basically what they have in North Dakota is on the east side of the state. You've got the Minnesota Vikings because it's closer to the Minnesota border. And on the western half of the state, which is called the Badlands, you've got the Denver Broncos because when you go down, further south, especially southwest, you're heading towards the Rocky Mountains. And then maybe once in a while, if you're stuck in the northwest, you got a few fans rooting for the Seattle Seahawks. But then when you're like in the southeast corner of the state, you got a few fans that like to root for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, so you got your choices. Who do you root for personally? What's your team?
Well, my team's the Green Bay Packers because I've been in Wisconsin for 9 years. I was born in Milwaukee, raised in Racine, and
Your official
cheesehead.
cheesehead.
Fan. Yeah, that's right. Of course, I get some people say Badgers, damn it, Badgers. I says cheeseheads are much more fun. They're very fun people, and of course they still have fun even when they lose. So that's how they are. But
that's what it's all about, having fun. No matter what you do in life, as long as you're having fun, you're winning, right?
That's right. And of course, I lived in the western half of the state as well too. So my adopted team is the Denver Broncos because they won a championship maybe like a few years ago, and then they consistently made the playoffs. And I just love their logo and whatever else, and they have like a very respectable organization. So
they gave my Patriots a headache a couple of years there. I'm a big Patriots fan out here in Beantown.
Yes, that's right. We do got a few of them. We do got a bunch of Packer fans still living in North Dakota. And of course, a lot of Viking fans, maybe a few Chicago Bear fans. But we have a mix up here in the Dakotas as well too. But the main thing for us is hockey. Everybody thinks
Sure, with the ice, yeah.
Wild. No, it's University of North Dakota Fighting Hawks used to be the Fighting Sioux, and they've got a huge dedicated following up in Grand Forks because they actually won the NCAA championship last year, and they used to win championships on a frequent basis. So hockey's a big thing up in North Dakota as well.
Some of these college teams, they get some big turnouts, man. There's some big money in that college game, sure.
Yes, that's right. And of course, the Ralph. Of course, for those who have never been in it, it's almost like the crown jewel of college hockey because it's built almost like the TD. What was it? The Boston Garden. Like the TD Warehouse?
TD Bank North Garden.
Yes, that's right. And of course, United Center, Chicago, or even like the Staples Center or like the Forum. It's got those crown jewel dimensions, and it just feels like an NHL arena when you walk in there.
We got a few banners hanging up here in Boston, just a few. So.
Just a few. Of course, you got the Chicago Blackhawks, who I I lived in Chicago for 30 years before coming out to North Dakota. You know, we won 3 Stanley Cups, but I just wish they would kept going and going and going and not worry about money. But getting rid of Packard Sharp was pretty much kind of like the downfall. And I think that was just a bad move on the Hawks. I mean, we could have won a few more championships and hang like about 3 more Stanley Cup banners, but why did they want to stop at 3? I really don't know.
Yeah, when you get too big, it blows itself apart sometimes. A lot of teams have trouble with that.
Oh, exactly. You're right. So
But
we just have that.
so other than being a sports fan, you are a veteran in the radio industry. How long have you been doing radio for?
Well, I've been it since I was 18, and I got started in 1982. I started college. You know, jumping from high school to college, I was planning on just going to California, just chilling out a little bit. But then I had people that insisted me going to college, and then I got on. I figured I'd study computers, and I was also a journalist by trade in high school. You know, I was going to be a sports writer, but then I saw nothing there where you can just have a journalism career. But everybody's like, computers make you more money, and so I went that, and it turned out it didn't. It's like you basically had to learn programming. It didn't work out. And then when I went by a booth at the at Harper College, that's where I went, and they had this booth. It's like, sign up, be a DJ. I says, okay. So I
Why
signed
not?
up, saw an application, they got me training, and I started being on the mic, first thing for like, one day a week for just 2 hours. And I thought that was long enough. But
Was it something you instantly loved? I mean, did you automatically love it, or was it something you had to get used to and fall in love with?
Well, what it is that I had like an interest. I was like in the back of my mind because I was basically just in love with radio. It's just how you pick up these signals, like all over, like Chicago, Boston, Milwaukee, New York, Philadelphia. Pick up all these AM stations, and then I started doing like a little play-by-play every time the Cubs played on the West Coast. And then I had a friend of mine that had a little radio kit where we broadcast on 87.9, doing play-by-play with an audience of 1, which is the Family Talk. And later, I just got interested, and then later on, I went to school at Southern Illinois, realizing that this is a field I really wanted to get into. I pursued that, worked at a few radio stations, and then coming back up, I worked 4 years at a station in Belgium playing big band music. I was a newscaster. I did play-by-play, and whatever else, did everything. And then I also worked at a few stations up in Chicago area. I mobile DJ'd, and I was also an MC, and I also worked a full-time job just to support family benefits and everything else. And then just down the road where I worked for a ministry, getting ready to work at a radio station, that folded. And then later I got recruited by an Arizona consulting firm in 2007, came up to North Dakota, worked at one of their stations, and then I hooked on to KFYR back in August 2010. I've been there since, and I'm just loving what I do.
So 30 years later, you could sing the song, I've been everywhere, man. I mean, you've been around, huh?
I've been everywhere. Yeah, I don't think you want to hear me sing. I'll probably lose listeners if I sing.
You'll play the songs, but you don't want to sing them, right? But currently you're residing in what? KFYR, that's AM 550, 99.7 FM, and it's also on iHeartRadio, correct?
That's correct, yeah. On KFYR.com, you can also click Listen Live and hear what we're all about. We're news, talk, we do sports, and play the greatest songs of all time and whatever else. And I also let my voice to some other stations too. It does some play-by-play football for Keys Radio 660 up in Williston. And I also did some public address announcing for Dakota Speedway for about a year or so. So I basically just branched my talents all over the place, not just radio, but also MCing.
Whoever wants you, that's where you go, right? It's always nice to be wanted.
That's correct. Yeah, that's the thing I love doing. It's like people start coming to me and everything else, and I still get calls from people like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? It's like, that's the best part about it.
I mean, the internet's really brought it to a new level, hasn't it? Because, in the olden days, you had to be within distance of the radio tower. Now you can go stream worldwide. I mean...
Well, what it is, too, is that you basically relied on the signal, how far you go, north, south, east, west, how strong it was, and it was just a word of mouth. And if you're doing a show in Bismarck and somebody's in Chicago, obviously they can't pick you up unless you have like a special carrier current or like, listen through a phone line, which was very expensive. Nowadays, all you do is just hop on the internet,
click a button,
computer, click a button, and then
there you are.
Pick up anybody all over the world. That's the beauty of it.
So yeah, I did an internet radio show for 6 years, and I had people from Africa tuning in, and the United Kingdom, and places I never thought I'd reach. I was hitting a fan base, and that's what technology's done for us nowadays.
What's funny too is that you mentioned about people tuning in from Africa, United Kingdom, and whatever else. I ventured into internet radio myself too when I was doing some voiceovers for internet stations, and I had about 3 stations from London asking me to do some voice work, and one station out of Dublin, Ireland, asked me to do some voice tracking. And when I did that, I got to hear myself, and I was reading feedbacks like, "Wow, this guy's great." I went, "Holy
Wow, I'm
cow,
a hit in Ireland. Who would have known, right?
what?"
You're a hit over in Ireland. Who would have thought it, right?
Yeah, exactly. and I just getting these emails. I'm like, holy cow, I think I just tapped a new market, because I guess they were looking for different sounds, different voices, and everything else. And everybody's always looking for new talent. And that's just one of the big things about internet radio. It's like, you never know who you run into, what talent you discover.
Yeah.
Some new things. And I
What
still pick up
connections
a
you're
lot
gonna
of things,
make?
and I'm still learning.
We had it. We had like a little picture of a globe, and whenever somebody tuned in, there'd be a red dot that would show you roughly where they're tuning in from. And I'd get one in the middle of the ocean, and I'd ask, "Well, what's that in the middle?" Well, some guy on a military ship who's tuned into your radio show. It's like, wow, that's kind of cool, you know? I mean,
I thought it'd be some guy on a boat with a margarita or something.
with a fishing pole, right? But now, did you have any heroes in radio growing up? I mean, I know Howard Stern, they say he's the big name. Everybody knows him from radio. They say he changed radio. I remember back in the day, I mean, the Wolfman Jack, he was the guy who represented radio. He had the voice that, I think he started the term, yeah, I got a face for radio, because his voice, the second you heard it, you know it was him. But who were some of your heroes growing up?
Well, of course, you took the words out of my mouth on one. You go, this is Wolfman Jack. You got that. And then I listened in Chicago to Larry Lujak. You also had John Records Landecker, and you had Fred Winston. And in Milwaukee, you had, I can't think of a morning duo name on WTMJ, and then I was into sports, and you had Howard Gillette, who did play-by-play for the Milwaukee Bucks. Lloyd Pettit from WMAQ in Chicago did Blackhawks hockey. He did it for so many years. Here comes the McKinnon shot, go! He's got that really strong, gravelly voice, which he was like the ultimate of hockey voices until Pat Foley came along, where he did, "He shoots, he scores!"
He becomes your staple. Everybody's got their staple, your trademark or whatever. But who didn't do a Wolfman Jack imitation as a kid? Everybody imitated the guy.
And of course, getting back to heroes as well too, like with the fact that Jack Berghaus from the Chicago Cubs, WGN, I love listening to him as home run calls. Deep left, back, hi, home run! And he had Harry Carey, who drank so many Falstaffs, he was drunk on the air and couldn't keep his words straight and slobbered over the air. And we had Harry Carey, who was fun to listen to. And then there was also I'm just trying to think of so many people.
Think of the guy from soccer there. He could hold his voice. Goal! He'd say that became his trademark. I'm not even into soccer, but I remembered him. It was catchy, you know.
I think thanks to cable that he became well known with his gold trademark. But of course, Howard Balsam was a really good guy in Chicago too.
Sure.
When he had the Chicago Sting, it was like the only winning team in Chicago in the '70s when everybody else just really tanked, except for the Blackhawks. They go 500, barely win the division, and get their ass kicked in the first round. So everybody wanted something different to listen to, like for winning.
Something to root for, something to cheer for, yeah.
Exactly, you're right. So, I mean, it was just, for me, it's just like, I venture in a lot of things. So, of course, you got your news guys that loved watching, like, Harry Reasoner, Walter Cronkite, and then you got Floyd Calver, and, listen to, like, the real diehard journalists. And, of course, you got Larry King as well, too, with his style. Rush Limbaugh getting in your face. But I like listening to various people and just form my own style,
So do you have a catchphrase yourself? What's your catchphrase doing radio?
What's that?
Do you have a catchphrase yourself? What's your catchphrase doing radio?
I think it all depends upon the situation. If it's like, you dial in, or say like, somebody scores or whatever else, or it's like, I just have some various catchphrases. So, I just trying to dig some up right now. Like, say, if you have the 15th call, dial carefully, good luck, or somebody runs 80 yards, he's got real estate. Things like that. So I basically just whatever pops in my mind,
Yeah, because if you're excited, the audience is going to be excited with you.
What now?
I say if you're excited, then the audience is going to be excited with you, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, my job basically is just to get the audience excited over something that's ordinary. You got to put some enthusiasm in your voice.
Right.
You come in as just a regular voice,
you got to make it interesting.
Word for word. Oh, you're going to put people to sleep. And of course, if I find that my people are going to sleep when I'm on the air, I did not do my job.
You're not doing your job, exactly, right.
Correct, yeah, so it's just like, my job is to keep people excited, motivated, feel good, and
keep them tuning in.
Keep everybody up to date, informed, safe, and of course, when it comes to travel and traffic as well too, you got slippery road conditions and whatever else. I just tell people that get off your phone, concentrate on driving, and I tell people it's like lay off the cruise control. That's how you get in accidents.
Right.
So you got to keep the people safe out there.
So being a 30-year veteran of radio, if there was a young kid just started out in radio and he's looking for some advice, well, what advice would you give them as far as being a radio DJ?
My advice basically is simply to be persistent, listen to what's going on around you, read a lot of newspapers, read a lot of media, watch a lot of TV, stay up to date on current events,
be educated.
The magazines, read what's going on the internet, catch up on the news every day, read your newspaper, go out and talk to some people, show some interest, and talk about current events, what's going on. Listen to all kinds of music, oldies, hip-hop, top 40, country, jazz, classical. Listen to everyone and get yourself...
expand yourself,
right? To what's going on. Just have like a broad horizon, listen to people, and watch how they do things, and kind of form your own personality.
Yeah, because everybody's interested in something different, sure, but in all the years you've been doing radio, you got any crazy stories for us? What's anything wild ever happened to you on the air?
Well, actually, it wasn't really like on the air, but I can say it's like behind the scenes, because I was an engineer at a broker radio station in Chicago, where I had this one lady that barely spoke any English. It was just her native tongue, and we were having a difficult time trying to communicate. And she'll point to me like, 10 seconds before a song ends, here, play this. I'm like, I don't have time to cue, and I'm trying to tell her that, and she gets her cues mixed up, and she spaces out a lot. Of course, she's like a blonde and everything. And one day, I was filling in, and it was like really hot out, okay? And of course, her studio was pretty hot. And she was wearing like a jacket, which was like a zipper down, almost like a sweatshirt. And here we are just slaving away through another program. It's like, okay, how are we going to get through this? And then somehow midway in the program, it seems like her zipper somehow just keeps going down, down. And then finally, it was getting like, just past you could see her bra. And I went, is it hot in here for you? She goes, why? And I look at her, she went, and zippered up, and her face was just deep red. And she she was embarrassed. And then she started speaking English. She went, oh, shit.
I thought she was coming on to you or something there.
Yeah, and she had to zip it up. And then when she started learning more English, and we communicated better, we became the best of friends. Look forward to working with me. It's so funny.
Really? Well, yeah. Those are the funny stories that turn into things you wouldn't have thought they'd turn into, right?
Oh, of course. That's like, it wasn't for that incident, we would have been, good working, co-workers, friends, or whatever it is. It's like, if it wasn't for that incident, it would have been, we would have been at that stage.
Sure. I know in addition to the radio, you also do a podcast that I was recently on as a guest. Thank you for having me. But tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Are you talking about my podcast? Or
Yeah, your podcast, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think you were breaking up a little bit, but basically the Mike Wagner Show is just a separate entity of what I do. I've been wanting to do some interviews for quite some time. And of course, what I do is I interview interesting people doing interesting things like you. And, basically I just like to learn about people, what they do, some of the great stories, and how they got started, where they appear. And I like to promote people and whatever else. I just like to take interest in what celebrities do, who they've worked with, behind the scenes, some great stories. I mean, I just like to hear about what's going on in their lives, what they do, and
that's a fun part of the business. You meet some really interesting people in this business. I've met some of the greatest people in the world doing this.
Well, I'll tell you one one thing. Carl Gottlieb from Jaws was a really good interview. Told me about the fish story. He hated calling Jaws. And of course, you know, how it got started, who he worked with, and, you know, a little bit of fights here and there, but some of the people worked with was great.
So who are some of the other big guests you've had on your show, other than Carl? Who are some of the other big guests you've had on your show other than Carl?
Well, we had Ron Dante, who was the lead singer of the Archie, sang Sugar Sugar. He was producer for Barry Manilow. He's the one that discovered him. He has some great stories about Barry Manilow.
Really?
With the Archies, his other projects, what's coming up, and he's got like 3 things going on at once. That's a minimum with him. You know, that's why I call him, like, you know, Dante's Inferno, because he's always on fire with a lot of things. Just another great guy. And plus, we have Steve Bluestein. He was a comedian and a regular stand-in for The Tonight Show.
Yep.
He told us all kinds of stories about every celebrity he's worked with. It's great. It's a book called A Memoir of a Nobody. And there was also, I'm just trying to think who else off the top of my head.
There's so many. They get thrown at you quick. It's tough to remember them all. I know you had, what, Eddie Deason from Greece, right?
Yes, that's right.
I got him coming up, yeah.
He's a big baseball fan. He's big into Beatles trivia. We had a great conversation about that. We had Sandy Hellberg from all the Mel Brooks movies.
Spaceballs, yeah.
A really inspirational guy, funny to talk to. Lisa Wilcox from the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. She's a diehard St. Louis Cardinals fan. Had a lot of fun. Also got to talk to Brad Server from offshoot of the Three Stooges because of his great granddad Curly.
Curly, yeah.
So, and of course, you have the cast of the Land of the Lost, which is the highlight I had with Philip Paley, who played Shaka in the movie, youngest karate guy ever at age 9, and that was back in '73. We also had Kathy Coleman talking about her role, as well as Wesley Ure, not only being on Land of the Lost, but also Days of Our Lives. He was really inspiring to talk to. And you also had, let's see, I'm just trying to think. And
well, no, but you're mentioning a lot of guests, and I got these same guests lined up, and I wanted to give a shout out to the guy that, I won't give his last name, a guy named Steve. He really hooks us up with all these guests, and we were talking earlier, like neither one of us really knew the guy. He just kind of contacted us when he seen us and said, hey, would you like to have some guests on? And he's giving us all these big guests, so that's one of the cool people you meet in this business, right?
And it helps to know someone that knows a lot of people, knows a lot of workings and everything else. And there's one thing I had to say is that, you know, interviewing celebrities was one of my last frontiers because I had trouble with interviews. I get nervous and everything else. And there's one thing I had to admit, I hardly ever told people when I was getting ready to interview Sandy Hellberg on KFYR. I was shaking like a leaf.
Yeah, he's done it all, Sandy, man. His resume goes on and on.
What if I made a mistake and everything else? But then after a minute or two of getting into talking, it was like a regular conversation. I just, you know, learned to be like, hey, it's just a regular conversation with regular people. So I'm very grateful for that too. So,
that's what you think. You think these big stars are different than you. Then you meet them. Oh, they're a regular person just like me. Who knew?
That's right. It's just like a regular person earning a regular paycheck. They go out there and do a job like everything else, and they're done. They just pack up their bags and they just head home for the night. And they're regular themselves.
All right, Mike, I do have a sponsor here for our podcast. I got to mention them. Sponsor for Funny Like a Clown podcast is G Vegas Buffalo Sauce for the spicy, sweet, savory taste at game time. There's only one G Vegas, so if you get your buffalo sauce at game time, it's got to be G Vegas. But if there's one guest you'd like to have on your radio show or like to have on your podcast, who would be your dream guest?
I have so many of them. And unfortunately, there was a few that I was going to rattle them off, but they passed on. And I can probably think of a few people right now. I'd love to have either Paul McCartney or Ringo Starr.
The Beatles.
Collins.
Who else?
Or I could get.
Who was the last one? I'm sorry.
Or I could get, say, Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. I'd love to talk to him. Alice Cooper, he is exceptionally intelligent.
Yeah.
I'd love to have him on. And of course, I think these are along the lines of music, maybe a few sports. And if Walter Payton was still alive, I'd love to have him. I would love to have him as an interview. And you also have, I wouldn't mind getting anybody, say, from the New York Yankees or Boston Red Sox or wherever, like, you know, from years past. And of course, I also thought about interviewing Johnny Bench because he became a spokesperson for a lot of commercials and turned out to be like a really nice guy involving some, just charity work or whatever else. And I would just love to interview him. Watching him play in the Big Red Machine during the days of Cincinnati Reds. So there's like a huge laundry list I could just think of, but just the
Those are
first
some of
two I
your
mentioned,
favorites, though. So did you say Phil Collins was one?
Yes. What's that?
Did you say Phil Collins was one?
Phil Collins, yes. Drummer and singer from Genesis. I would love to interview him.
He's done it all, yeah.
Peter Gabriel. Mm-hmm.
Worked for Disney. You working for Disney, you've hit the top of the chain.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's like I like to at least interview like a few top tier celebrities and just to see what it's like working and whatever else. And Billy Joel would have been interesting too. What his
The
life
Piano
was
Man.
like growing up. And yes, that's right. So the Piano Man and of course Steve Martin would be a great interview. I loved.
He's one of the last of the legends. I know most of the legends in comedy have passed on. I mean, he's one of the last of the living legends.
And of course, it's just like, it's just like clean, authentic, and, it's just creative. It's like a lot of them out there these days, like, most of them just rehash their stuff or just resorting to use like every four-letter word in the book. It's just like, or sometimes they try to get low.
That's when you know you're not funny, when you have to use the four-letter word in order to get laughs. I'm not above using it, but it can't be the main part of your act,
That's correct, too. And Bill Cosby was really good at keeping it clean and just keeping it real and funny as well, too. He was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Newhart, and I think he might have passed on. I would love to interview him, but it's like, Bill Cosby was just a genius.
He was everybody's dad growing up on TV, but, wow, his career was certainly a legacy to behold. I mean...
I'll tell you, despite what happened, I'm going to come out and say this, although I thought the charges were false, and I shouldn't base on just one person saying Bill Cosby did this, like you got to have like multitudes of people. I thought the system just wasn't correct and everything.
It was questionable. It raised so many questions where if you followed it, and I mean, how much responsibility do the women have to take? I mean, we could get ourselves in trouble here talking about it, but I'm with you. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, but certainly it sounded a bit sketchy to me also. I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels that way. We could do a whole nother show on that, though.
That's fine, too. So it's just like, talking about the greats, too. And Sam Kinison
was my
man. Favorite, too. Unfortunately, he died on New Year's Eve in Peoria, and it's like, I would love to interview him.
I did. I went out and I met Sam's brother, Bill, and his wife Sherry. I spent the night at their house. I had dinner there, and I did a local television show. I interviewed with them for that, and that was as close as I'd get to touching him was having his brother on. So that was a really cool moment for me because he was my hero.
Oh, he would have been amazing to talk to and everything.
To interview him would be something.
Like I said, there's just like a boatload, but I think there's a few that just stand out right now. So I'm sure more will come to mind as time goes on. But other than that, I enjoy what I'm doing. I love what I do. So.
All right. So saying that, you started out in college was how you got your start. You've been interviewing all these great guests that you just mentioned. I mean, what's the future of the Mike Wagner Show? What's the future for you in radio? When you look back, when you're an old man, and what's coming up? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do?
Well, basically, I think my own show would be like the epitome of, will like be the top of what I want to do. I like to get out there and be nationally syndicated, interview many celebrities as possible, famous people, and soon to be up and coming. I like to give them encouragement, whatever else. And for me, it's like if I look back and say, like, if I were to retire or something happened, I just look back and say, I did it.
You had fun.
That's correct. It's like having fun what you do, it's not really a job.
Right. You have fun, keep trying to get bigger. And that's a good point. If you can give somebody a break, you put them on your radio show. Dane Cook was from Boston originally, and I'm playing a lot of the clubs that he used to play before he was popular, and they're the ones who, they gave him the stage time to make him popular, so everybody needs a venue.
Right. You got that right. Of course, the internet's a really good place to do it, and I've had some people on before, too, and they're about to, make their splash as well, too. And, of course, Eric Morris out of Atlanta, that he's supposed to be in a few big productions as well, too, coming up, and, really nice guy to talk to, and there was like a few that I have interviewed, and also Max Wassa, if you remember her from like I'm trying to remember who she was. She was on a number of movies and everything. You know, really nice lady to talk to. So yeah, I've had some great guests. I mean, I didn't have any bad ones whatsoever. So it's like they've all just been great people to talk to. I love it.
Well, let's keep having fun, Mike. I mean, you were a guest on my show, Funny Like a Clown podcast. I was a guest on yours, the Mike Wagner show. So if either one of us hit it big, we can say we helped each other out.
There you go. That's the whole business of it. You help each other out. You basically just promote one another, and everything will go good from there.
Everything goes good. Thank you for being a guest on the show, Mike. I appreciate it, and I look forward to listening to some of your radio shows in the future.
Sounds good. Just look me up on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can also look up on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and also on iHeartRadio as well.
All right, so check out his show there. We'll talk to you soon, Mike. Bye-bye.
Sounds good. Thanks again, Dennis. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. All right, Mike Wagner from the Mike Wagner Show right there. Check him out, man. He's all over the internet, as he just told you. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Funny Like a Clown podcast. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep getting better. We're going to keep getting better. So until next time, cheers, folks.